know the routine. We're back, man. We're working in the shop today. I got Edsel Ford with me over here, new guy that's working over there. What? Yeah, I'm recording. Yeah. Anyway, we are back on the Model A Roadster project. So took a little time off some other stuff, trying to get some things picked up. We're working on the GMC also, but not today. Today we're working on this. We're gonna change up a couple of things on there. We decided to go with the regular F1 steering box instead of the side shift or the column shift and the side shift trans. So I think we're gonna do a regular F1 box on there. And then we're also gonna go with the top loader transmission instead of the side shift, just to make it a lot easier as far as placement for the column and the shifter linkage and all that stuff. I kind of decided that I did want to try to tackle that. So I'm backing up a little bit. What we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to, we've got the adapter here for the third member to go from the 6 to 10 spline. The earlier, this is a 35, 36 rear end, so the earlier ones have like a 10 spline third member, and then we had to get the new adapter for that so we can put on the old drive shaft, or another drive shaft. That's actually a 40 drive shaft that I pulled off of another rear end. So we're gonna get that cut and get it ready to go to the machine shop so that they can weld that adapter onto the end where we cut off. Right, here is the drive shaft. If you guys have never seen a drive shaft from an early Ford torque tube, this is the main drive shaft. It's a solid bar. It's got 6 splines on this end right here that go up into the U-joint. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure the length that we need there for the third member, and then we're going to have this drive shaft turned down to fit with an interference inside this coupler, and then we'll have it welded. So we're going to have to cut this, take this stuff to the machine shop, have them true it up, turn it from the inside or turn the outside of that shaft, slide it in, press it on there, and then have them welded up, and then we'll get it back from them and we'll install it. But right now we're going to do some kind of rough measurements and cut it. Let's just see what we got here on this. Put that up in there, grab that. Yeah. Let's go over. So we're going to leave a 1/2 inch down here. That's going to be a 1/2 inch inside this coupler off of the pinion, and then we're going to back out a 1/4 inch up here on the U-joint. And that was 46 5/8. Grab a pin up there, bud. Mark that. 45 7/8. We don't want to mark on there because it's greasy. Yeah. Anyway, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to have to leave. This has got a bearing surface here in the middle in this torque tube, so there's a grease cert here on the torque tube, and we're going to leave that bearing surface. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut everything off back in here in order to connect that back to the rear end and to get it the right length. We need to go ahead and chop that sucker off. Okay, let's get that one cut, and then we'll be done with that, and then we can work on the torque tube. Grab that. So, here, grab that. Yeah.
What'd you say?
Cut it off. There you go. Loosen that up. Two before in there to keep this rear end from flipping up there. So we can get it out. It's going to want to go all the way up. Yeah, it's going to go way up. Let's see. Yeah, try to
rotate.
Yeah, that's fine. Right there. Yep. Slide this up in here, see what it looks like. Hopefully Ian measured it right.
Yeah. Greasy.
Yeah, it's not greasy enough. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, looks good.
It'll have to go on up in there a little bit more, but I think there's some stuff on that on the splines.
Get some degreaser.
Yeah, all the splines have some trash on them.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Take it over there to the parts washer deal. Take it over there to the parts washer.
Yeah.
Open it up, scrub all that off with that brush, and then wipe it off. There's a red rag over there. Wipe it off and bring it back. With the tape measure. Yeah, that slid in good. Perfect.
That is absolutely.
Hold on to that right there. Just right there, and let me look, see. Okay, we're gonna have to pull that out some more. Probably needs to be about right in there. How's that look?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I might have them go ahead and pin that anyway, since we got enough room.
this.
We're gonna get it rough. We know where the bearing's right there. We know the bearing on the shaft is right here.
Okay, yeah, that's
So-
how we need to know.
That's where we're at right there. See what I'm saying? So if that's where the bearing's at, then that right there is that point right there.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So that would be the end of the drive shaft we just cut right there. But we actually need it out here because we need to come off of this. Let's see. We can come back out here a little bit, cut it off here, and then we'll cut this one to match that distance there.
Yeah.
But what I was wanting is I'm wanting the cut on this tube to be outside of this joint here. That way I can move it around and I can see where the everything is in there.
Yeah.
So let's measure that. Let's get it about a 1/2 inch plus that. So that's 1 3/4. So let's go 2 1/4 inches. So 2 1/4. This is not really rocket science.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here. I haven't done one of these in a long time, so we've got to move this as well. Maybe.
It might
We'll
be able to stay in the same spot.
It might be able to. It looks like it's going to be pretty close, actually. But we may have to move it, maybe an inch or so. But let's see where we're at here. So that's going to ride about right in there. As you can see where it's rubbed that
Yeah.
ball there. So that's right at about 18 inches. And that's right at about 17.5 inches.
It might fit.
Probably not. It's going to have to be moved a
also
1/2
gotta
inch.
think that this thing is sitting up higher than it should be.
Yeah, but it's not gonna swing down a 1/2 inch difference in the arc that it rotates. So it's gonna be down here, and see it did move a 1/2 inch forward. So
Okay. Good
if
point.
it moved anything, it moved maybe a 1/16 of an inch, because it's just barely up over level. So it's not much. It's probably further back just a little bit because it's already reached the apex of that curve, and now it's coming out. Dude, that's almost right there on the money. There you go. Just a little bit off. It's like a 1/2 inch off.
Not
That
bad.
needs to go. That needs to go all the way up on that cup there. But that's beautiful. Okay. So what we got to do is we'll have to take our cut-off wheel and cut that weld off there, and then grind it all smooth, and then we'll reposition it. Once we get this whole thing in here, we'll reposition that, get it tacked on, and then we'll be good to go. Get over there, do that. This? Yeah, you don't have to climb in there, but so yeah, put that around the U-joint, and then hang on, we've got to put the yeah, we got to put this on there first. I'm gonna stand right here. Just pull that board out of there. I got the area. Oh, you do? Yeah, just. Okay.
Right about where it should.
Get comfortable, huh?
Right about where it should.
Okay. Go ahead and put that clamshell on there. Yep. You can go ahead and put a bolt in there if you want. What are you doing wrong? Oh, you're right. You're good. Yeah, you're good.
Just never done this.
Yeah, that's all right. You're learning. That's why you're doing this.
Might need to run more in.
Huh?
Quite a significant bit and needs to go.
What's wrong with it?
Needs to come forward.
It can't. It's up against the ball.
This?
This right here is up against that ball. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Bring it down a little bit.
Is it?
Hitting on the U.
There's nothing in there to hit.
It's like catching on it.
Oh, is it? There you go. Oh, good deal. Got it. Well, we mismeasured that then.
We did?
No. Actually, we're good.
See, now it goes on.
Okay,
perfect.
good. Now get you a bolt in there.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was hitting the U-joint. I see it was hitting that tube where the small end of the tube comes into that ball.
This is easy.
Why don't you do this? Hey,
Yep.
put the one on top first. Take that one, put it on top. Run a bolt on there, all the way through. Get all that lined up in there. You don't have nothing lined up, bud.
No?
No.
Oh, good.
Get the bolt in there. You can put it in from the back even. What do you need?
There we go.
Now put that nut on there. Yeah, we're only about a ½ inch off on that thing, which is good. Turn the bolt, that nut won't turn. There you go. Now put the other one in up there at the top. We're going to teach Edsel how to work on these old hot rods.
Right.
That's going to give us where our seam's going to go. There. 7 1/4?
Yeah, 7
See. Actually, very small here, so I think 7 1/4 will be fine for it.
to be safe.
So, yeah. So we'll take the other one, we'll mark it 7 1/4, we'll cut it off. There you go. There you go. Can you see it? Okay. Let's chop it off. So if you get it right on the line real fine, this thing's going to walk around a little bit until it finds its home. A lot of times what it does at the very beginning, because it's flat, that blade comes down and does this a little bit. So what I like to do is I like to come down a little hard, not like cram it, but come down a little hard. That way it makes a mark and it kind of cuts a V, and then it starts cutting in it. You'll see it go like that. Go ahead and cut it. Is that locked down? Tightened up? Okay. Is it on the line? You double check it? It's where you had it, yeah. Okay. Let it get up your feet. Itzel had to leave. We're gonna get this put up here and double check it real quick. See how close it is. We should be pretty darn close. Just by eyeballing it. It looks like it might need to be trimmed just a hair. But we're gonna have to take this off. We're gonna bevel this edge. We're gonna take this piece that we cut. We're gonna bevel the edge on that one, slick it all up, knock the paint back a little bit on it, and we'd get it tacked and get it set up in there. So we're pretty darn close right now. Pull that out. Let's just go ahead and get that bolt out of there. Now this is by no means the only way to do this, so you know. Yeah, we're a little bit tight on it. Let's see. There you go. Get her slicked up. We did about 1 inch on both sides. The thing will go right back on there. Got her cleaned up inside. I'll just need to spray this one out. That one I sprayed out with brake clean. I'm going to spray this one out too. Get that all cleaned out. It's pretty gunky in there. And I'll clean up that face right there while I got it, because it's got some RTV on it. We got to tackle that right there now. We're going to have to take that off. It's burned in there pretty good. We're going to take it off there and slick it up. That way we can move it, because it's actually too far. I think it was too far forward. It needs to go back about a 1/2 inch, so we're going to move that. But we need to slick it off there. Get it off, that way we can get to it. We'll do it. I just cut it off right around that. Just kind of zip through just enough to get down to the tube. So let's see if it pops off. Looks like it might be still on there pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna sneak up on it a little closer. There we go. There's all it is right there. So we'll slick that off and we'll get it ready to go back on there. Now honestly, this drive shaft and torque tube is going to be so short, I really probably can knock that bearing out in there and not worry about it, because it's like right here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it'll give it a little extra support, and I'm just going to leave it in there. Let me take that off. Why is that upside down? Oh, on the plate's upside down. Make sure I don't weld it like that, that's for sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to line up this weld here on the tube and line that one up, put them together. That way it'll be clocked correctly when we get ready to mount it back up. And then we'll mount that new little tab there for the wishbones right back where it needs to go. But don't forget, this is a 35 Ford rear end. So it's got the Lincoln Zephyr wishbones, which are the shorter ones. Now, I'm not sure what, I think it said V837, it says on there, but these are the shorter wishbones, way shorter than the stock 35 or 36 wishbones, but they were labeled Zephyr, I think, on there somewhere, if I remember correctly, and that's kind of what we figured out. But this will work for 35 to probably 40, I would say 40 rear ends. I think they're going to be all the same or pretty close to the same. The only difference is going to be 35, 36 is going to have these wishbones that mount to the tubes, where 37 through 40 is going to mount to the lower backing plate area or cast in. And the brakes are going to be different. So for a Model A application, and you're going to shorten it down this short, this is how you can do it pretty easily. There's not really a whole lot of scientific method to it. The only thing I did was I made sure that that torque tube is pushed up onto that ball cup up there, and I've got I don't have the cork seal inside the clamshell, but with that pushed all the way up, that's where the home's gonna be for that torque tube. So that's gonna work perfectly. I've got plenty of space here. I've got about an inch space on the front of that to clear, which is gonna work perfect because all your movement's gonna be back here coming up, and this is your pivot point, so it's not hardly gonna move much right there. So that should clear just fine. So the next thing we're gonna do is I'll load this drive shaft here up and take the coupler and get it. I'll get my measurements and mark it up where I want it at, and I'll take it to the machine shop, and I'll have them turn this shaft to where it'll fit inside this spline, this 6 spline, with a little bit of interference. So they'll have to press it on a little bit. So they'll turn that to fit, and they'll press that on, and then I can set it right in there, put the pin in it on the 10 spline, and put a little blob of weld on both sides. That way it won't come out, and that pin will be good to go, and it'll go right up in that U-joint. And this rear end will be ready, other than having the brakes switched out on it. We're going to put the juice brakes on there. It's still got the mechanicals, so we'll swap those out, get that ready to go, and start running our brake lines on here, and that part will be done, which will be good. We still got a little bit of gussets we're going to put in here on the frame rails, but that's for another video, so we're going to keep going. I'm going to load this up and take it and drop it off at the machine shop. When I get it back, I'll show you guys exactly what they did. Got that sucker back. My buddy Justin over in Morris ended up turning the shaft down for me and slid that on there and TIG welded it all up. So what you have to do here is you have to turn the shaft down. This is the 10 spline to 6 spline adapter for the 35-36 rear end. The 35-36 rear end does not have a shaft like this. It has a tube for a drive shaft with this adapter welded onto the end of it. So what I ended up having to do was buy this one, and the 10 spline fits the 35 rear end. So what we've done is we've turned down this shaft. I measured it up, got my measurement from the U-joint here, back to where I needed at on the pinion, and then I marked it, took it up to my buddy Justin, and he turned just the little bit that was going inside of this adapter. He turned it down to where it was a little bit of an interference fit, so it was a little, he had to kind of move it back and forth like that to get it on. Once he did, he went ahead and TIG welded that seam right there. He did a root pass, and then he did another pass over the top of that, and then he drilled it out, drilled the shaft out, and went ahead and pinned it and TIG both sides of that end. So you can see my mark right there. That's the mark. That's how far the shaft goes in there. So we are good to go. There's the 6 spline on the other end. This thing is ready. now we just need to go ahead and weld up the torque tube, which I've already cut down and tacked. I've got it sitting over there on the other side of the bench ready to weld up. So you can see I've got it shortened, cleaned it off, tacked it back down here. And I also, while I had it up on the rear end there, figuring out the length here to cut, I went ahead and moved the wishbone boss here. So I cut it off, slid it back that's about an inch, and I got it lined back up good. So I'm gonna go ahead and burn this one in, get it done. It's already been checked. This right here is fixing to get burned in as well. You see she's smoking. And then we'll get it all put back together. So we've got to put the, we'll have to pull the rear end completely out, and then we'll put the drive shaft on, put the pin in it for the pinion, and then we'll slide that up on there and it should be good to go. Get this jacked up, pull this rear end out here. Get that sucker on there. So what they got right here on this, you can see on this adapter, there was a hole there that actually was a pin hole for the drive shaft. The rear hole here is for the pinion, so you can pin it. I've got a pin. I just need to get it put in there and get it spot welded. We'll spot weld the sucker in, and all that does is keep this drive shaft from going in and out and going into the end of your transmission. It's not really going to help it structurally to keep it sound, because it's 10 splines. It's not really going to shell that out unless you're just really on it, which some guys do. And I think we'll be good to go. We'll just pin that, spot weld that in so it can't come in or out, and then we'll slide that torque tube on there. See what we've got. Here we go. Let's see if we can bump it a little bit more. Try to get it down in there just a little bit. Yep. Okay, we're good now. So there's the pin, and you can see I've got it offset just a little bit. It's about maybe a 1/16 of an inch in there. So the other side, the other one is exactly the same as that. So now we need to spot weld both of those right there so that won't come out either direction, because you don't want that hitting your torque tube out here. We'll buzz both of those real quick, and that'll be ready to go. There we go, there's that side. Let's see if we can get it to at least go this way. There we go. Drop block over there. Drive shaft's on. Torque tube's all welded up. Slide her on there. Hopefully she'll fit. So you can probably see it from there. There's a raised spot right there on that shaft. That's for this bearing. And you can see right where the bearing's at by the greaser that's on the torque tube. So I didn't change anything from the tip here to back here. So that bearing is still going to ride right on that raised part of that shaft. There we go. Okay, let's get these bolts started up here on the torque tube before we get too crazy here. This is going to have to come back apart, so I don't have a seal in here yet, because I'm going to end up cleaning this all up. So I'm not going to make a big fuss about the seal not being in there. Hopefully it won't leak. Okay, that'll tighten up. Make sure that's in. Get this thing jacked up and off the jack stand so we can put it back on the ground. Okay, we're a little off center. We'll be all right. Here we go. Easy peasy. Drop that back in. Now I've eliminated a bunch of the springs on the back here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I moved one to the bottom and cut it short so that my U-bolt clamps could tighten up. For a little recap here, we ended up taking a 3940 torque tube and shortened it down. We used 36 Lincoln Zephyr bones. They're the shorter ones. They still have the rear spring mount in the back. If you're not using a 35 or 36 rear axle, not that big of a deal to need those. You can use the 37 to 40 axles in here, no problem, and still get the adjust the bones down to where they'll fit. Now, you might be able to use the 46 to 48 bones. I'm not sure. I have not used those yet. I happen to have these. I lucked out on those, and they bolted right back up, so I just went ahead and used those. But we chopped it down about approximately 20 inches. You really can't say a standard dimension on that because there's so much other stuff that's going on. We've moved the spring back here. We're using a later rear end than the Model A had, obviously, so we don't have the spring over. So there's a lot of different things to consider. We've set the motor back as far as we can up against the firewall, so that, and that has set our transmission mount. So that's what we had to work with. So that's what we made the torque tube fit. So let's get a little closer. So for you guys that haven't watched the other videos, this chassis is going super low. We've got the 31 Roadster body that's going on this, but we're also going full fendered, front and rear. And we've got, so a little recap, we've got the drop axle, we've got reverse main leaf. Our leaf spring's a little off right there because we haven't set the wishbones, but we're moving the wishbones to the inside of the frame rail as soon as we get that transmission mount finalized in there and welded up. So we also added a 36 rear end, and we Z'd the back. You can see how much it's about a 7 to 10 inch Z. Can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was 7 from here to here, and then 10 all the way down. So we got a 7-inch Z, and then we push the spring mount back because we're using the 35 rear axle. So we made the spring pad back in the back straight, and we just got done cutting this down. So here's what I was telling you guys about. This is the turtle, or this speedometer. They call it a turtle, but it's a speedometer gear, and it goes right in there. Let's see if I can get it in with one hand. There we go. So it goes right in there, and there's no way for me to get to that little bolt right back there. So I thought, well, shoot, I'll just notch that out right there, and I'll keep on going. That'll still be strong enough. It's just gonna hold the two frame rails this way. This is gonna be in here 3 inches from it, so no big deal. But that's gonna help, and that's gonna hook up to our speedometer cable and right up to the dash. So we got her all cut down. You see where I welded it right there. It's got 3 bolts holding it. If 3 bolts won't hold it, 6 never would have. So we've got some temporary bolts up here holding the clamshell shut. And man, I'm happy with that, guys. We set the Merc motor in there and dropped a high-rise Thixton on there, which doesn't fit because it's an 8VA motor, and that's for a earlier flathead. But we just dropped it on there to keep kind of the dirt out of there. But we're probably going to put we've got the stock one. We were going to toss it, and we decided to keep it because we're going to get it running in this new engine stand here so we can hear what it sounds like before we start cleaning it up and getting it repainted. So that's it, man. It's looking awesome. We're going to keep moving forward on it and keep showing you guys some progress. So we got a few other things we're going to do. I think I mentioned it earlier in the video, we're going to swap this side shift out to a top loader, and then we're going to go ahead and add our flange kit to an F1 box on the side. We were going to do a front cross steering column with a column shift, and I decided there was just not enough room in there for me, and I don't want to sit and have to engineer all that stuff. An F1 box down here is going to work perfect. Top loader shifter will look great in there. We'll get the swan chromed, and it'll look great. So we're going to keep going, though. We're getting everything put together on this sucker. The body will go back on next, I think, with some wood blocks so that we can start possibly on the dash. We got a killer dash that we're going to put in this thing, so we'll be showing you guys that. So like, share, and subscribe. Keep an eye on this build. This is going to be fun, guys. It's going to be an awesome little ripper. So thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Later.